Welcome to the 2018 Board of Directors briefing. Please join me in welcoming the members around the world who are watching live online. We'll begin by recognizing your past international presidents and past international directors. Please stand as your name is called. Distinguished Toastmasters all, Dilip R. Abeysekara, Jana Van Hill, Ed Bick, Ted Cochran, Jack Gillespie, John Greiner, Pat Johnson, Jim Kokaji, Mohammad Murad, Michael Notaro, Gary Smith, Pauline Shirley, Jani Ui, Tim Keck, John Lau. He's here. To our past international president, once again, past international directors, distinguished Toastmasters all, Sal Assad, Karen Blake, Bob Brenton, Raymond Brooks, C. Earl Chin, Joe Condrill, Susan Dalati, Dee Dees, Kevin Doyle, Russell Drake, Bruce Franson, Justin Gottfried, Patricia Hannon, Sharon Hill, David Ollingshed, Magnus Johnson, Joe Jasembeck, Donna Lebet, Augustine Lee, Andrew Little, Ross Mackay, Pamela McCown, Emmanuel Meeker, Margaret Page, Nagaraja Rao, Mary G. Russell, Jacqueline Schneider, Arun Sen, Alan Shaner, Gloria Bushido, Charlie Starrett, Christine Temlicke, George Thomas, Bruce Trippett, Jim Vogeley, Sandy Vogeley, Floyd Westermeyer, Eileen Wolf, Dennis Woolridge, Dietmar Wagenknecht, Dick Poirier, if there is anyone who I have missed, please bear with me and rise to be recognized. Because there was a purpose, Mike Rafferty has to be introduced as our convention chair, so that's why I kept him last. And the other one?
Beth Boas. Next.
Beth Boas. Thank you. Once again, to all our past international directors, thank you for being here. I sincerely thank the 2017-2018 Board of Directors, distinguished Toastmasters all, from Region 1, Mary Morrison, from Region 2, Jim Coley, from Region 3, Tracy Thomason, from Region 4, Monique Levesque-Ferro, from Region 5, Don Bittick, from Region 6, Vera Johnson, from Region 7, Reggie Ford, from Region 8, Matt Kensey, from Region 9, Radhi Spear, from Region 10, Michael Osur, from Region 11, Morag Matheson, from Region 12, David Fisher, from Region 13, Derek Wong, from Region 14, Elisa Tay, and our executive officers, President-elect Clark Doley, our Chief Executive Officer, Daniel Rex, our immediate past International President, Mike Stockey, our first Vice President, Deepak Menon, and our second Vice President, Richard Peck. I will now present the President's report. In the past couple of years, Toastmasters has experienced 3 significant changes. Moving our headquarters to Colorado this year, launching Pathways worldwide, and the fact that my airline has visibly receded. Because I see that as a common phenomenon in all the past presidents, I'm soon going to join there. The launch of Pathways learning experience in all corners of the Toastmasters world has been a tremendous achievement. 5 years in the making, Pathways represents a paradigm shift in Toastmasters learning and is the greatest change in our 94 years history. The power of Pathways lies in the competencies and skills you can build. Now there are more than 300 real-world competencies that can be learned through the 10 paths, skills that can be used in your club, in your career, and in your life. Best of all, you choose what you want to learn and how you want to grow. It took 15 months to launch the Pathways program around the world, culminating in May of this year. It wouldn't have been possible without the tremendous efforts of thousands of members around the world who served as chief ambassadors, pathway guides. They were the change agents who partnered with World Headquarters to prepare clubs for the transition. I'm pleased to tell you, and I'm excited to share with you, that Pathways is largely a success because, as of today, more than 144,000 members have enrolled in the Pathways program. This represents 42% of all Toastmaster members. 155,000 paths are in progress, and over 12,000 members have already achieved level 1. We can now track how you are doing when you get back to your clubs. You all know of the transformational powers of the Toastmasters experience. Pathways gives our members even more skills, more competencies, and greater confidence to achieve their potential. I have a lot of speeches to do this week. I'll keep this brief, come back to you. When you get back to your clubs, choose your path, change your life. Thank you. Later in the briefing, each outgoing international director will have an opportunity to address the membership. I'd also like to thank staff at World Headquarters and specifically recognize the senior leadership team. When I call your name, please stand. Chief of Member Engagement and Support, Darcy Manpa. Chief Financial Officer, John Bond. Chief Information Officer, Sam Farajian. Director of Executive and Board Relations, Jennifer Barr. Chief Operations Officer, Sally Noel Cohen. And a man whom I have worked very closely this year, and a man whom I have known for 23 years, presenting our Chief Executive Officer, Daniel Rex. Presenting the Chief Executive Officer's report, please welcome Daniel Rex.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Toastmasters, guests, and friends. A couple of years ago, my wife, Laurie, and I were having dinner with past international presidents Robert Barnhill, Jana Barnhill, and Gary Schmitz. They were in Southern California, as they do, to visit Disneyland, and had invited us to spend some time with them. On this evening, Bob wanted to talk. No surprise there. Anyone who knew Bob? This was the point in time when his voice was becoming quieter, and to hear him properly, you had to get quite close. I always enjoyed talking with Bob, and he always had something that he wanted to chat with me about, or talk to me about. On this occasion, we were talking about big changes, the development of Pathways, our future transition to Colorado. Bob had many questions, many of them financial questions, and we had quite the conversation. At the end of the chat, he said something to me I'll never forget in his very quiet and a little bit raspy voice. He said, "Moss doesn't grow on your stone." And I thought, is that a compliment? Let me think about this for a minute. And I realized it was his way of saying that the current was fast enough and the distance was long enough and the stone was moving through it so far and so fast that it was polished clean and moss could not accumulate. Bob was not known for hiding his true feelings when making statements. And this time he didn't either. So I looked at him, and his broad West Texas smile, you know, the one where the mustache turned up on the ends, told me that he approved, that the changes were necessary and that they were good. And I can't look at you, Jana, but that they were not easy. And I liked that he approved. I felt pretty good about that. I look at it today and I think, kind of wish I had a little moss in a few places. We have come hard and we have come fast, and we have covered a lot of ground. And it hasn't been easy, but here we are 2 years later. For the first time in a couple of years, for the first time since the early 90s, we've had a couple of years with quite slow growth, and 2 consecutive years. It's been a long time since that's happened. This year we had less than 1% growth in total membership payments and 1.4% growth in membership. That's the number that we count at the end of March every year. So it's been a struggle. It has. We have a relatively smaller number of distinguished clubs and distinguished districts. This is no surprise to any of you. There are many other statistics available, most of them quite good, in my report online that can be found at Toastmasters.org CEO report. And if you're interested, I'd encourage you to check out some of the data there. As Balraj mentioned, we've successfully launched Pathways. We've met some of the prime objectives of the project, which were to allow members to have input into their learning journey, to have projects with more immediate, impactful, real-world applicability, and to recognize members earlier in their Toastmasters journey. We're very proud of that. Of course, there have been bumps, and there are a lot of rough edges and pathways that need to be sanded off. We have a Pathways digital experience team that is dedicated to improving the systems that support the educational content. This team involves staff and members. Inputs come from thousands of messages on social media. Thank some of you in the room for those. Thousands of emails, phone calls, and user interviews that relate to this experience. As Balraj said, thank you to the many leaders who have participated at the district and club level as learning masters, as ambassadors, as Pathways guides, as chief ambassadors to make all this happen. We first envisioned whatever the improvements to the communication system were going to be back in 2010. And we knew something needed to be done, but we didn't know what to call it. And it took us about 7 years to figure out what to call it, and we've landed on Pathways. But I'm pleased that it's taken us this long because we have launched the right product, the right content in the right way. It's going to take us a while to adjust. As I speak to many members around the world, they tell me of their personal challenges relating to Pathways, most of which, when it's boiled down, don't relate to technology, but relate to having to learn new things, become the master of a new system. Those of you who are in the room and face that, please become the masters of this new system. Don't put the traditional program in the forefront. Pathways is here to stay. We transitioned our world headquarters to Colorado, and at the same time outsourced our procurement and logistics distribution services. Neither of these came without significant pain to leaders and members around the world and pain to the staff. Darcy was a little concerned that when she stood up to be introduced this morning, she might not get the applause that she usually gets. So I was pleased that you recognize her. I won't provide excuses or justifications for the challenges that we've had, but I will say that the vast majority of them are behind us. We're now back to within standard on all of our customer service responses, and our delivery times for product delivery are decreasing every day. 5 years ago, I stood at this meeting and announced that we had experienced more than 7% membership growth in that year. And some of you just yawned. And some of you who yawned are still in the room today. Okay, maybe you didn't yawn, but in a time of plenty, I think that some of us took it for granted and thought that it would always be there. Too often we want to evaluate today by comparing it to yesterday, or evaluate yesterday by comparing it to today. It's simply not a reasonable comparison. Yesterday is not equivalent to today. Today is not equivalent to tomorrow, and tomorrow looks very little like yesterday. My belief is that as an organization, we must continuously look to tomorrow, learning from the present and the past as we envision and create the future. It's my belief that Toastmasters can and must continue to change, and likely in the future at a much faster pace than we've experienced. To continue Bob's analogy, maybe moss never will grow on my stone, and I kind of like that. It's been my privilege to work with another fine board. There was a day when I stood before you and said that I'd worked with the most amazing board ever. Several of you took issue with that after the meeting, having sat on previous boards. So I'll make sure that I don't tell them in front of all of you that they were the best board ever. But I am thankful for them and proud of their work and their accomplishments. I'm thankful to our international president, Arunachalam Balraj, for his guidance and inspiration in leading the board this year and facilitating their work. And my appreciation goes to each board member individually and collectively as a group for your insight, wisdom, foresight, and guidance. I obviously owe a huge debt of gratitude to the team at World Headquarters, and I won't introduce them since they've already been introduced, but please thank them when you see them this week for their passion and dedication to the organization first and the work that they do second. My special thank you. Special thanks today to Sally Newell-Cohen. Sally's time at World Headquarters is drawing to a close this week. I've worked side by side with Sally for 9 years. I told myself I would not do this, and I will not look at Sally. It would be impossible to overestimate Sally's impact. Would you stand? Thanks for applauding long enough that I could regain a modicum of composure. I appreciate that. So many colleagues and friends in this room today. Thank you for all you do to support this board, this organization, our team at World Headquarters. Thank you for your inspiration, Mr. President.
We will miss Sally, but she's not far away. She just take the call. She will be available for us. That's what we have felt right inside the boardroom. Presenting the Executive Committee report is International President-elect Lark Doley.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to members and leaders of Toastmasters International around the globe. The 2017-2018 Executive Committee met on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, August the 14th, 16th, and 17th. You may be wondering what we did on Wednesday. Mike Storkey will report on that later. The following are the results of the Executive Committee meeting. The committee began by reviewing the organization's performance for the 2017-2018 program year, and you have already heard that report from our CEO. Although club growth has declined and membership growth was flat compared with previous year results, the committee is very optimistic about our future. I'm happy to report that the July results are good and point to greater membership growth this year. And after seeing and working with the district directors, the program quality directors, and the club growth directors around our globe, I know that our future is golden. With Pathways now fully launched, all leaders can refocus and will refocus their efforts on growth and support. They will refocus on the district mission of building clubs and supporting all clubs in achieving excellence. We want every club to be a quality club, every club to fulfill the club mission, and support all our members in their growth. The committee reviewed data on clubs sponsored by corporations and other organizations. So these clubs represent about 50% of all clubs around the world. The committee recognized that there is a need to create a more structured and professional approach to our relationships with the companies that sponsor clubs based on our understanding of their needs and articulating the value and the benefits of our program. Such an approach will result in higher club and member retention and greater satisfaction for our sponsoring organizations. The committee agreed that a future board committee will be established to develop an approach for enhancing and sustaining our corporate relationships based on the potential structure presented by World Headquarters. The Executive Committee also received an update on the establishment of a Toastmasters International legal entity in China. Toastmasters remains committed to establishing this entity and to submit the required documentation to local council for submission to the appropriate governmental agency. The committee also discussed a request from Qatar to establish a legal entity. The committee has requested and requires further research and review to enable an informed decision related to Qatar at a later date. The committee also discussed the possibility of creating a model for future legal entities, as well as a documented process to manage setup and annual costs, and requested that World Headquarters research and provide an update in November of this year. The committee reviewed a series of proposed financial metrics to establish organizational baseline financial expectations in the areas of performance, liquidity, and efficiency. And finally, the Executive Committee is pleased to announce that San Antonio, Texas, will be the location of the 2022 International Convention. Now, some of you may think I had something to do with this choice. I did not, but I am thrilled that I will be able to welcome you to San Antonio, Texas in 2022. I expect to see all of you there and many more of you there. The committee also reviewed the status of reformations that will take effect on July the 1st, 2019, which will be District 33 in Central California and District 115 in South Nevada. District 89 in the locations you see on the screen, and District 118 in the locations you see on the screen. The committee also reviewed the status of the reformation that will take effect on July the 1st, 2020, District 37 in Western North Carolina, and District 117 in Eastern North Carolina. I see there's some North Carolinas here. All right. The committee also approved the following requests. District 41 in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh to establish a reformation committee. District 46 in southeastern New York to reform effective July the 1st, 2020. And in addition, the committee directed District 86 in Ontario, Canada to establish a reformation committee. Now we go to Protocol 7.0. As Protocol 7.0 district structure stands today, one of the two program quality directors elected for a transition year for reformation may not have had the opportunity to serve as a club growth director. While serving as club growth director is not a requirement to be elected as a program quality director, having the opportunity to do so will provide a more complete experience as a district leader and will strengthen the leadership bench of the new district. Furthermore, district leaders who progress from club growth director to district director are more likely to successfully lead the transition and assist the two districts in normalizing more quickly. The board has previously approved requests from District 33, the first one to request this, and District 37 to have a 2-year transition period based on this reasoning. We are delighted to tell you that we have amended Protocol 7.0, District 33, you should be very proud, to extend the transition period and elect additional district leaders to strengthen the leadership base and add greater stability in the year of post-reformation for future reformations. This change will be applicable to any district that requests to establish a reformation committee after September the 1st, 2018. The process to elect district leaders for our 2-year transition will begin with the election of 2 club growth directors in year 1 and the election of 2 program quality directors and 2 club growth directors in year 2. The executive committee members are President Balraj Arunasalam, Lark Doley, that's me, Deepak Menon, Richard Peck, Mike Storkey, and Daniel Rex, our Chief Executive Officer. Mr. President, that concludes the report of the Executive Committee.
Thank you, Lark. I'm lost to realize when did I come to Chicago. It looked like that I have moved to Chicago because we had been here for quite some time in meetings. To present the report of the Strategic Planning Committee, please welcome immediate past International President and Chair of the Committee, Mike Storkey.
Thank you, Mr. President. And for all of you who are wondering what we got up to on the Wednesday, it is my pleasure to present the 2017-2018 Strategic Planning Committee, which met on Wednesday, August the 15th. The committee discussed the performance of clubs and districts and the impact of training. The committee recognises that nearly half of all clubs are not delivering on the brand promise or fulfilling the club mission as measured by the Distinguished Club Program. At the same time, many districts are not achieving the district mission as measured by the Distinguished District Program. The committee specifically considered the structure, quality and content of the training provided by districts to districts and club leaders. The committee directed World Headquarters to draft and present at a future board meeting proposed amendments to policy based on its discussions, and to include training and curriculum recommendations from the Leaders Development and Training Committee at a future board meeting. The committee also directed the World Headquarters to review the Division Director and Area Director roles, training materials and Division Council meeting requirements, and to prepare a draft of the required competencies and training. The objectives and Division Council meeting topics for review at a future board meeting. Many world champions of public speaking are invited to speak at Toastmaster events each year, and the committee appreciates and recognises the service and goodwill extended by these individuals to support the organisation and its members. At the same time, there have been recent reports of less than professional behaviour displayed by some visiting champions. Because of the influence of these individuals and their impact on Toastmasters' reputation, the committee agreed that a code of conduct be created specifically for world champions. The committee directed World Headquarters to draft guidelines to present at a future board meeting. In addition to creating these guidelines, it also requested that World Headquarters create a process for districts to provide feedback on a world champion's conduct and performance while presenting at a district events. The committee recognised continuing confusion about the roles of Toastmaster leaders as they relate to organisational strategy and operations, and recognised the need to further clarify the roles of international directors and region advisors. The committee also considered how role confusion and a potential disconnect between roles and accountability have affected district performances. The committee recommends that these roles be clarified as follows. Region advisors continue to report to the international president and work cooperatively with the international directors in the same region to support the districts in successfully achieving the district mission. Region advisors are responsible for the success of the districts in the region to which they are assigned. International directors must have awareness of the activities, successes and weaknesses of the districts within their region. This is achieved through cooperation with and support of the region advisors. The committee discussed the conduct expected of international directors when participating in Toastmaster events and acting as ambassadors for the organisation. It directed the World Headquarters to draft a set of guidelines to be presented at a future board meeting. The members of the Strategic Planning Committee are Balraj Arunasalam, Lark Doley, Deepak Menon, Richard Peck, and Daniel Rex, Chief Executive Officer. Mike Storkey, that's me. Mr. President, this concludes the report of the Strategic Planning Committee.
Thank you, Mike. I'd like to now invite First Vice President Deepak Menon to present the Board of Directors report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Board of Directors met this past Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. 3 consecutive days, August 19th through 21st. At the August 2013 annual business meeting, the standard bylaws for clubs document was renamed the Addendum of Standard Club Options and became separate from the club constitution for clubs of Toastmasters International. This change enabled the Board of Directors to modify the Addendum of Standard Club Options in the future without ratification by the membership. The addendum has not been updated since that time. However, Toastmasters has undergone many organizational changes, such as membership dues increase, acceptance of online clubs and online attendance, updates to technological infrastructure, updates to club demographics in the database. Proposed modifications were discussed during the March Board of Directors meeting. There was concern that the updated version did not support clubs that do not separate Toastmasters International dues from club dues on account of exchange rates. Additional modifications have been now made to allow for all clubs that collect dues in non-US currency the option to list either the full amount they collect from members, including Toastmasters International dues, or separate club dues from Toastmasters International dues. This allows for clubs to report the way they collect dues while still providing World Headquarters with accurate data. The International Leadership Committee requested that the International Officer Nomination Results announcement date be extended to April 15th from the present February 15th. This will enable the ILC to interview director candidates prior to interviewing officer candidates, and if additional director candidates need to be sought, time is available. The Board of Directors also received an update on the Global Advertising Campaign Test it approved in 2017. The digital-only campaign will be conducted in Florida and California in early 2019. The clubs and districts in these geographic areas will be vital to the success of the project. This week, the district leaders will receive an update on the timing and implementation plan. Further details on all these decisions will be published in the minutes of the August 19th to 21st Board of Directors meeting. Mr. President, this concludes the report of the Board of Directors.
Thank you, Deepak. I invite immediate past International President Mike Stocky to present the report of the Disciplinary Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The bylaws of Toastmasters International, Article 3, Section 13, empowers the board to conduct disciplinary processes and, at the discretion of the board, to delegate such processes to a disciplinary committee. During the 2016-2017 year, several circumstances arose around the world that would typically result in discipline by the Board of Directors. However, due to other priorities, potential disciplinary actions for members were postponed. Our committee assignment was to evaluate information revealed and related to several individual Toastmaster members who are believed to have violated provisions of the governing documents, determine whether or not to conduct disciplinary hearings, conduct disciplinary hearings as required, provide a written report and recommendation to the board regarding each circumstance. The committee determined that one disciplinary action was required. Upon reviewing possible disciplinary cases and determining disciplinary actions, it was decided that no further actions were required at this time. Furthermore, the committee conducted an extensive review of disciplinary procedures at all levels of the organisation. This included an examination of the club and district procedures for clarity and consistency. The committee also looked at the parameters for participation in disciplinary proceedings by the charged member, the charged member's club, witnesses, and the Toastmasters leadership body conducting the hearing. The report was approved in principle and requested that World Headquarters review the committee's work, including suggested amendments to policies, and present these to a future board hearing. The members of the Disciplinary Committee are International Directors Matt Kinsey, Monique Levesque-Ferreau, Mary Morrison and Derek Wong. Past International Directors Karen Blake, Edie Ferrari D'Angelo, Christina Kilberg, Andrew Little, Mary G. Russell and Dennis Wooldridge. past international president Ted Corcoran was our co-chair, and World Headquarters staff liaisons Mona Shah and Kristen Kay. Mr. President, this concludes the report of the Disciplinary Committee.
Thank you, Mike. To present the report of the District Marketing Effectiveness Committee, let's welcome back President-elect Lark Doley.
Thank you, Mr. President. The District Marketing Effectiveness Committee assignment was to develop a marketing and communication plan focused on creating new clubs and retaining clubs and members that could be linked to or incorporated into the district success plan. We are pleased to announce our results. The District Marketing Effectiveness Committee was tasked with the creation of specific, measurable, strategic, and tactical district marketing and communication plans that would effectively support the strategies that are documented in the District Success Plan. We developed a communication plan, and we are so pleased to report that it has already been incorporated into the Public Relations Manager training. So all of you who took the webinar, participated in the webinar, either live or have reviewed the recorded version of the Public Relations Manager training for 2018-2019, saw the communications plan as a part of that training. And by the way, you can go and look at it afterwards, not during the convention though, please. The committee also developed a detailed marketing plan for club growth directors. This is going to be piloted in 2018-2019. The results of this pilot will then be reviewed by the board of directors before it is rolled out to the entire world. But the communication plan is for the entire world, for all public relations managers. The committee envisions in the future that there will be a fully automated, web-enabled district success planning system that will include detailed plans for applicable district leadership roles, like the Club Growth Director marketing plan and the Public Relations Manager communication plan, but we envision others as well, and these will guide plan creation, approval, evaluation, and will be able to be updated from year to year. Now I want to thank the committee members. We had 4 international directors on the committee: Matt Kinsey, Monique Levesque-Farrow, Mary Morrison, and Derek Wong. We were delighted to have past international president Pat Johnson and past international director Roberta Perry as committee members as well, and our staff liaison, Darcy Mainpaw, co-staff liaison, Bill Nissom, and Katie Welsh, staff liaison support. Mr. President, that concludes the District Marketing Effectiveness Committee report.
Thank you, Lark. To present the report of the Recognitions Committee, let's welcome committee co-chairs, Second Vice President Richard Peck and First Vice President Deepak Menon.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Distinguished Club Program measures membership growth, educational achievement, and administrative deliverables. The Distinguished Area, Division, and District programs measure the percentage of clubs that achieve distinguished status, club growth, and administrative deliverables. The mission of the club is to provide supportive and positive learning experiences. The mission of districts is to build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. While the missions are generally aligned, the goals and objectives measured from club, area, division, and district are not as well aligned. Further, organizational success relies on club and member growth. Organizational success also hinges on member satisfaction and retention. Yet there are no organizational measurements for satisfaction or retention. The Recognition Committee was tasked with creating vertical consistency between the club, area, division, and district levels through Toastmasters systems of recognition and to align objectives, measurements, and focus. The committee's objectives were to define the outcome and processes that are most critical to overall member and organizational success. The requirement was that these elements must, at each level, be the same or contribute to the same outcome. The committee then considered the factors that are currently measured by our recognition programs and determined if they satisfactorily contribute to the fulfillment of the club mission, the district mission, and the global mission. The committee conducted its work in 3 phases. In phase 1, we conducted due diligence by reviewing all documentation prioritized by impact on mission. In phase 2, we assessed the effectiveness and cohesiveness of the recognition system at each level by considering the organization's objectives prioritized by impact on mission, considering whether actions taken by leaders directly support organizational objectives, by considering whether these actions are in alignment with the intended result, by considering whether these goals accurately measure the expected result, and by identifying inconsistencies in the recognition systems from level to level and the opportunities to create alignment. In phase 3, we developed a recognition structure that is aligned at all levels and achieved the stated objectives and missions. I'd like to now introduce First Vice President Deepak Menon to explain the committee's methodology and final recommendations.
The committee began its work in September 2017 and concluded its work in July 2018. Together, as a committee, we embarked on a journey of discovery, reflection, and questioning of long-held beliefs and assumptions. Individually and collectively, we asked ourselves, what factors drive member club, district, and organization success? What represents achievement? What are the true critical success factors? From this, we agreed on several foundational principles that drive success. Success starts at the club. Vertical alignment at all levels of recognition is a requirement. Retention of members and clubs. Thank you. Leadership development, club quality and member participation, the role of the area in organizational success. Over the course of many, many months, the number that I've lost count of, the committee developed a methodology and structure that reinforces the factors that enable clubs and districts to achieve success, encourages greater member recognition, rewards participation of leaders at all levels, and drives organizational success. To accommodate a greatly expanded range of clubs and districts, the levels of achievement have been expanded to 4 levels: distinguished, select distinguished, president's distinguished, and yes, Smedley distinguished. I'm sure our founder is going to be very proud of us. The Club Recognition Program expands on the present Distinguished Club Program, considering achievements in the areas of education goals, leadership development, membership growth, and retention. The 4 categories of district recognition build on the Club Recognition Program by measuring achievement in club growth, club retention, membership payments, and distinguished clubs. Implementing these recommendations will help our members, clubs, and the organization as a whole continue to grow and ensure the long-term sustainability of Toastmasters as an organization. The Board of Directors approved an implementation date of July 1, 2020 to allow World Headquarters enough time to model and verify specific metrics, make the appropriate changes, and communicate this new system and rationale to all members in a timely manner. I'd like to thank my co-chair, Richard Peck, and the members of the Recognition Committee, which consisted of 10 international directors, Don Bittick, David Fisher, Reggie Ford, Vera Johnson, Jim Coley, Morag Matheson, Michael Oser, Radhi Spear, Elisa Tai, Tracy Thomason, and the staff liaisons, Dan Rex, Sally Newell-Cohen, co-staff liaison, Sam Farajian, co-staff liaison, and staff liaison support, Kirsten Erickson, Jonathan Lamb, Daniel Mitchell. Mr. President, this concludes the report of the largest committee in the history of Toastmasters International, the Recognition Committee.
Deepak forgot to mention that this is the longest committee ever served also. September to July, because we have to get our clubs right if we want to get our organization right. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Richard. And thank all the committee members and the staff for all the committee work done in this committee and all the other committees. Now, each of our outgoing international directors will say a few words. I would now invite from Region 2, Jim Coley to the lectern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Toastmasters. Good morning, friends. For reasons that I don't want to explain too much, it's been suggested to me very strongly I should say something about bacon. I think I need to make it very clear that I respect everyone's cultures, including their food choices, before I go any further. And having said that, I'd like to share, for those of you who are suggesting it, that I do think bacon, for those of us for whom it's a reasonable preference, it does serve a nice purpose. It brings us together for fine food and good conversation. But I'd also like to remind us that I enjoy Toastmasters even more than bacon because it brings us together to make a better world. Far more important. But more seriously, I would like to thank the board members I have served with, both those from last year and from this year. I've learned so much. You've grown me as a person. And I'd like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to serve you. It has been an honor and a privilege, and I'll always be grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And from Region 4, Manik Levesque Ferrell.
Mr. International President, fellow board members, Toastmasters, and friends. As a board member, I felt my voice was truly heard, and I served with a team of passionate and dedicated leaders. For that, I thank our International President, Balraj Arunasalam, and the Executive Committee and the full board. Balraj, you led with your heart, and your transformational leadership style was an honor to witness. I would also like to thank our CEO, Dan Rex. Seeing your unending knowledge inform the discussion, but yet strike the balance of not directing the decision, truly I'm in awe. Sally Newell-Cohen, well, you've helped us pave pathways, but for me, you've done so much more. Jennifer Barr, pardon the pun, folks, but you really did set the bar for service. Amber Villa, making sure our district visits went off without a hitch, and to all the district leaders who worked so hard to make those visits successful. To all of the amazing staff, we appreciate you. To my husband, Don Farrow, also a Toastmaster, please let him know that I included him in this speech because he spent many an evening in the basement so I could participate on board calls confidentially and in comfort. To my fellow second-year board members, the last class to say goodbye to California and hello to Colorado, it was a pleasure to serve with you. To the first-year directors, we pass the torch along. When asked, what's next? I will leave you with a quote from our founder, Ralph Chester Smedley. The destination determines the direction. Well, my first stop is my home club. Hopefully they'll welcome me back after so many meetings missed. I look forward to embracing Pathways more fully, and I will continue to serve this organization, the one we all love, because at the center of us all is the desire to serve. It's what Toastmasters do. Mr. International President.
Thank you, Monique. And now from Region 6, Vera Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. You, the members of this organization, are the heart and soul of this organization. It is because of you that it has been such an honor to serve on your board of directors and all of the other roles that I have served within Toastmasters. These past 2 years have been an amazing growth experience and journey. 3 things I would like to leave you with any of your future pursuits. Be resilient and stay the course. So many times you'll get distracted, and if you lose sight of the main thing, you'll never get back. Be open and flexible. In my experiences on the board, I had the honor to listen to all of my fellow board members many times. Each time, somebody offered something of value. So I came into the boardroom with one set of thoughts and a decision made, and many times I ended up changing my mind based on what I heard in the room and based on what I heard from the members. Do the right thing, even when nobody is watching. It's within your heart, and it's so important to pursue integrity. It has been my great pleasure to serve with my fellow board members, Dan Rex, Balraj Jerusalem, our Chief President, and our World Headquarters staff. Thank you for your diligence and all that you do. But most importantly, thank you, the members and leaders, for serving. Thank you so much. It has been my honor.
Thank you, Vera. Now from Region 8, Matt Kinsey.
Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, friends, it has been among the greatest privileges in my life to serve as an international director, and it would not have been possible without your belief in me. In the short time I have, it cannot be summed up, but I can share how I feel. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the words of encouragement you have given me, as well as the challenges. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve with an amazing team of staff members and volunteers from around the world who challenged me on a daily basis. And I'm grateful for the hospitality you have shown me when I came to visit. 3 lessons stand out for me. First, just because something is a good idea doesn't necessarily mean that we should do it. Does it fit our strategic plan? Is it workable? Will it make us stronger? Second, it's your opportunity to speak up and never forget that. I saw many times where a single voice on the board changed the direction we were thinking for the better. And on reflection, I thought, what if they hadn't spoken up? Would the results have been the same? Probably not. And the third thing is, if you don't understand the viewpoint that someone else is expressing, it's your responsibility to find out why they think that way. Not in an opportunity to try to change their mind, but to understand where they are coming from. You will be better for the effort. Fellow friends in Toastmasters, whatever you want to achieve in Toastmasters is within your reach. It takes commitment. It takes work. It takes coaches and mentors. Commit. Do the work. Find the coaches and mentors, and when you're ready, they will appear. It happened for me, and it will for you. I believe in what Toastmasters can do in your life, and I believe in you. Mr. President.
Thank you, Matt. From Region 10, Michael Osorna.
Señor Presidente, compañeros, socios, líderes y personal en Toastmasters, buenos días a todos. Mr. President, fellow board members, district leaders, and Toastmaster staff, good morning. I stand before you humbled, and you know humility is not one of my core strengths. When you elected me 2 years ago as an international director, my theme was making a difference. I thought I would be the one making a difference, but instead, you have made a difference for me. I stand in awe of the energy of our members, the zeal of our club and district leaders, the tenacity of our district directors and teams to make a difference in their clubs, for our members, in our communities. I thought I would change Toastmasters. Toastmasters has changed me. Last year, I had the good fortune to meet Golden Gavel awardee Aaron Grewal, founder of the Freedom Riders Foundation. Aaron has made a difference for me. A few months ago, in Long Beach, California, in District 1, I had the honor to present the Toastmasters Corporate Award to Aaron Grewal and the Freedom Riders Foundation. 10 of the original Freedom Riders from 20 years ago were there. And I had a chance to hear their stories. There were tears in my eyes. Well, actually, I was crying as they shared their journeys to make a difference in the world. It was so bad, Aaron had to tell those Freedom Riders, don't look at Michael, he'll make you cry. My fellow board members, like Aaron, you have made a difference for me. All the districts I have visited, you have made a difference with your willingness to have me visit and to listen to my stories. All the members who have gone out of your way to talk with me, to share your stories, and tell me how Toastmasters have made a difference for you. Todos ustedes me han cambiado. Soy una mejor persona. You have changed me. I am a better person. Mr. President.
Thank you, Michael. And we will now hear from Region 12, David Fisher.
Mr. President, friends, After the 2017 board meeting in Anaheim, California, a certain international director left their wallet and passport in the hotel. Now, due to board confidentiality, I can't tell you who that was. And I can't tell you who their rescuer was. But let's call that person Mona. For Mona to drive across rush hour LA to deliver said documents to said international director so that that person could get on their flight home, back to Sydney, was an immense display of personal commitment, but really typical of the dedication of World Headquarters staff. To Dan, Sally, leadership team at World Headquarters, and your ever-present staff, thank you so much for maintaining that support that you have ingrained in your culture. It's been an honour to serve on the boards of Mike and Balraj in the last 2 years, and I've been always inspired by the leadership of the Executive Committee. I thank you, friends, for the honour and the trust that you've given me to serve, to do my best in your service. I'm most proud of the work that I've been able to do together with my colleagues whom you see before you, every one of them, and the board from last year as well. Almost 3 years ago, at the start of my campaign, although I was really enthusiastic, I endured self-doubt. You lifted me. You lifted me and gave me the courage to persist, eventually enjoying the euphoria of election. My most enjoyable and fulfilling moments have been spent with you at conference, conventions, workshops, in your clubs, and at every possible touch point. As you have connected me with the leader that you saw in me, my wish is that my standing here is proof that you can become that person, that leader that you aspire to be. That would represent completion for me. They say it takes a village to rear a child. It has certainly taken a global village, you, to rear me. I would do these 2 years again in the blink of an eye. And I thank you so much that I have been so privileged, Mr. President.
Thank you, David. We will now hear from Region 14, Elisa Tay.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. 2 years ago in Washington, D.C., after I won as International Director for Region 14, I visited New York, and promptly I tripped, fell, and broke my kneecap. In the few months after that, when I got home, I had to spend it day after day with a therapist. And the first thing she taught me was to walk to the right and walk to the left. And I thought she was crazy because I wanted to walk forward. So why teach me how to walk to the right and to the left? But in these 2 years with the board, with this great group of people who compose the board of directors, I learned how to walk to the right and to the left because we all had one vision, and that is to move forward this great organization that we have. The first district visit after my accident, the first thing this very young group of Toastmasters did was to force me to hike up Mount Gasling in Kuala Lumpur. And along the way, they helped me, they guided me, the same way that we have been doing this past 2 years. Time flies. In a blink of an eye, 2 years has passed. Time flies, but memories with all of you will remain forever in my heart. Mr. President.
Another big round of applause to all our outgoing directors for their thank you for your service. I am pleased to welcome our past international president, Gary Smith, to honor those whom we have lost this year.
Mr. President, if I have seen further than others, it is because I stood on the shoulders of giants. English scientist Isaac Newton said those words, and they are so true for those of us here in Toastmasters. The leadership giants of our organization who built the foundation of what we stand upon today, and the future leaders of Toastmasters will build upon the foundations that we are building today. Today, we honor 6 past members of the Toastmasters International Board of Directors who passed away since the last International Convention, and we thank them for their giant skills they provided to our organization. Past international directors, distinguished Toastmasters all: H. Al Richardson, 1979 to 1981. He was a Toastmaster for 61 years. He personally knew Dr. Ralph Smedley, the founder of Toastmasters, and said about Dr. Smedley, he was reserved, well-spoken, quiet, articulate, caring, and helpful. Nathaniel Nate Perry's 1980 to 1982. He was a Toastmaster for 47 years. He and his wife Marguerite started a Toastmasters Club and was the sponsor and mentor and enjoyed it so much and cared so much about that club that they continued to mentor that club for 35 years without any recognition or credit, but only because they cared so deeply about that club they helped start. Val Albert, 2006 to 2008. She was a Toastmaster for 26 years. When she ran for international director in 2006, she was living with cancer. She said at the time, and as she was elected, when you are suffering, make sure that you expand your optics and don't gaze inward, because you may miss an opportunity of a lifetime. Margaret Wan, 2006 to 2008. She was a Toastmaster for 28 years. She was an educator, administrator, strategist, trainer, and she traveled the world, constantly supporting Toastmasters and mentoring others. Past international presidents, distinguished Toastmasters all. Robert Blakely, 1976-1977. He was a Toastmaster for 59 years. His presidential theme was, "Be proud you're a Toastmaster." He, as international president, at the time, noticed our organization chart had the international president at the top and the member at the bottom. And he said, there's something wrong with this picture. So he literally flipped it around and put the member at the top and the international president at the bottom. And that's still the chart we have today. As an international director in the early 1970s, he noticed that women weren't allowed as members of Toastmasters, which was true less than 50 years ago, and decided we should do something about this. So he was a chair of a board committee that brought it to the membership, and the membership rejected a bylaw change to allow women as members of Toastmasters. So Bob, still on the board, decided, let's think of a different way to do this. So working with the board of directors and the legal counsel for Toastmasters, they brought to the membership a bylaw change that allowed each club individually to make the choice if they wanted to allow women or not. And that was in 1973. So we thank Bob for all of his contributions to our organization. Robert Barnhill III, accredited speaker, 1996-1997. He was a Toastmaster for 35 years. His presidential theme, a passion for eloquence. As an international officer, he helped create the current Distinguished Club program as we know it today, with the 10 goals and the membership requirement. In his Toastmasters International oral history, he was asked, "Why are you proud to be a Toastmaster?" And he replied, "Because we help people sing their song. Every one of us has our song, and we need to sing our song. Because when we sing our song, we touch a heart. And when we touch a heart, we become a star. And we shine a light of hope on a hopeless world. And everybody can do that if they just have the confidence to get out and sing. And we do that in Toastmasters. For the past 7 years, Bob lived with the disease ALS, and he never, ever complained, not once. He never stopped living, and he kept inspiring all of us to sing our song. He was absolutely devoted to his wife, Jana, also a past international president, as she was totally devoted to him. Toastmaster friends, will you please join me in a moment of silence to remember these giants of our organization and all those leaders who have passed away in the past year. Mr. President.
Thank you, past International President Gary. I've been to many districts, and I have visited a lot of districts in this journey. I'll leave that for the rest of the speeches. But for now, when I was trying to enter the executive team, we all were in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And when I was checking in to the hotel, I saw the World Headquarters team, which has just come into KL, and probably half an hour before, 30 minutes before, led by our CEO, Daniel Rex, about 32 people. They hardly had not checked into their rooms as yet. But where they were running, I was watching where they were running to. They were running to the Starbucks. After a 20 hours travel, they were running to a Starbucks. I had kept this as etched in my mind for a long, long time. Why did they run to Starbucks? Because Daniel Rex don't drink coffee. He drinks only chai tea because he loves Sri Lanka. But that tells a story. Why do we, if you ask our past international President Mohammad Murad, as soon as he gets into a country, he will search for a KFC. And why do we go to all these places? And I shared this at the club officers training, wherever I went, or district officers training. More importantly, this week, at the district officers training, we all run to Starbucks. We all go to McDonald's. We all go to KFC because we believe in their matched quality. Matched quality. Wherever you go, consistent quality. Wherever you go in the world, you believe that will be of the same quality. That's what, my friends, we need in our clubs. We need to have a match quality around the world so that our guests will be welcome, and the day they come, they will decide to join. And if we can do that, this organization will truly change the world. I don't have enough and sufficient time to thank my entire board and our entire organization, whom I have worked very closely this year and for the last 6 years that I have been on the board. Thank you all. The leadership panel begins at 12:30 p.m. in this room, Grand Horizon AD. If this is your first international convention, Be sure to participate in the first-timers gathering at 5 p.m., also in this room. Opening ceremonies will take place in the Skyline Ballroom in McCormick Place at 7 p.m. Before I could go off the lectern, because I will miss this. Because I saw in the agenda that our past international president, Mike Starkey, does not speak now, he'll speak later, so I might not get this opportunity next year. We hope you have enjoyed being here in Chicago. I welcome once again to the Toastmasters International Annual Convention of 2017-2018. This meeting is adjourned.